Parliament has received the Tobacco Products and Electronic Delivery Systems Control Bill. This marks the beginning of the process to enact suggested changes for smokers and the tobacco industry. The bill calls for modifications to tobacco product promotion and packaging, as well as the outright prohibition of smoking in public places and designated outdoor areas as determined by the minister. Well, to discuss this further, I'm joined now by the Deputy Director for the National Council Against Smoking, Dr. Sharon Nyatsanza. Doc, good afternoon. Welcome to today. Do you welcome this bill?
So thank you for actually bringing light to this very important bill. So we definitely do support the bill. And the main reason behind that is because we think that South Africa today faces rising number of smoking rates. And we know that we know the devastating health effect that smoking has on people's health, but even on the economy as well. Smoking costs 42 billion rand for South Africa each and every year. So we definitely do welcome this bill because it will reduce the number of people who smoke, and importantly as well, try and dissuade more youth from starting to actually smoke.
There's a controversial aspect. One of the controversial aspects of the bill, if I may put it to you, is about the new vaping and e-cigarette industry. Apparently, there's going to be regulations under this bill to control the nicotine delivery systems. What's your view on that aspect?
So yes, our perspective really is that the bill is very important because it strikes a very, very important balance. Adults can still use e-cigarettes, for example, with the nicotine and non-nicotine delivery systems. They can still buy them, they can still use them. But what this bill does is try to prevent the number of youths and children who start using this. Because what science is showing is that the more kids who actually use e-cigarettes are actually more likely to get addicted to nicotine, and they're also actually more likely to continue to smoke tobacco products. So what this bill is doing is, for example, regulating how the product is being marketed, how it's being packaged. We're trying to control the ingredients that are even used in this product. For now, there's no regulation for e-cigarettes. We don't know what the ingredients are. Sometimes we even see that the nicotine content is actually double that allowed in normal cigarettes. So the bill is very important because it tries to strike the balance, allow access for the adult, at the same time try and reduce as much children from starting to use and get hooked to nicotine.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about one aspect of the bill is about the definition of no smoking areas. Policing that is going to be very difficult.
So, we see the same argument was raised, if you remember, decades ago. People used to smoke even in aeroplanes. Even at airports, people used to actually smoke freely. But if you look at our airports today, it's a completely different scenario altogether. And even when, the first laws restricting restaurant smoking were actually introduced as well, the same argument was also raised. But these laws actually are not only self-enforcing, but you actually see that people have changed. Social acceptability around smoking behaviors is even changed. So yes, we do hear complaints here and there about people still smoking in restaurants. We see that even when you go to restaurants, people don't smoke in every space. They actually try to smoke only in the smoking sections. But what science shows is that even when people are sitting in the non-smoking sections, they actually are still exposed to second-hand smoke. So I think one of the key considerations around that law specifically is the right of the non-smoker as well, because second-hand smoke is as dangerous as direct smoke directly to the smoker. So it's also important to actually try and consider the health and the rights of the non-smokers as well. So we try to strike that balance.
Okay, I see that the bill proposes prison sentences ranging from 3 months for smoking where you shouldn't, in terms of the bill, whenever it's going to come out, to 20 years for selling tobacco products to children. So from your perspective, what's next? What's the next step? Parliament has now received this. What will be the next steps to take this process forward?
So yes, once now it's in Parliament, definitely there will now be public hearings that will be called for. So we expect that to happen in the first quarter of 2023. And then there also there'll also be, the provincial public hearings as well. So it's still a bit of a long process until the bill is actually passed, because it has to be considered by the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces as well. So those are the two immediate steps that we expect. And in terms of penalties and sanctions, obviously there are a lot of penalties and a lot of sanctions, but this depend on the person that is being involved. Is it a manufacturer? Some of these manufacturers are actually international companies. So obviously, the sanctions that are consummated to that are actually obviously higher than an individual person. But I think the main thing, to highlight is really the purpose of the bill. What it really is the purpose of the bill is try to reduce smoking, try to reduce the number of people who start smoking, and also reduce the health burden related to smoking.
Yeah, just on that, you mentioned the amount of billions of rands it's costing, smoking is costing the economy, and the health burden is very huge in terms of diseases. So are you going to be participating as a National Council Against Smoking in the public hearings?
So yes, definitely, we will definitely participate in support of the bill if we see it fit that the provisions are good enough and comprehensive enough to protect public health. We definitely will be participating in the public hearings going further.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Dr. Sharon Nyatsanza. She's the Deputy Director for the National Council Against Smoking. They welcome, they say this new bill that's now in front of Parliament is striking the right balance in terms of reducing the consumption of tobacco in our country.